Welcome to a session on the essay, The Pitfalls of National Consciousness by Franz Fanon. So, what is national consciousness to begin with? It is a shared sense of national identity and shared understanding that a people group shares a common ethnic, linguistic, or cultural background. And this is an introduction on the same. Um, Franz Fanon, he was born on the island of Martinique under the French colonial rule, and his full name is Franz Omar Fanon. He was a Black Atlantic, he was a representative of Black Atlantic theory in an age of anti-colonial liberation struggle. And his work drew on a wide array of poetry, psychology, philosophy, and political theory. And in his lifetime, he has published two key original works uh, titled Black Skin, White Masks, published in the year 1952, and The Wretched of the Earth, published in the year 1961. And his participation in the Algerian revolutionary struggle, it shifted his thinking from theorization of blackness to a wider, more ambitious theory of colonialism, anti-colonial struggle, and visions for post-colonial structure and society. Okay, so to begin with, he starts with the idea that uh, national consciousness is not a reality but a myth. It is like, it is not a coordinated crystallization or hard image of people's innermost aspiration, but he calls it a fragile shell or a myth that really doesn't exist. So, and he lists the cracks that we have in the idea of national consciousness, like the ethnic groups, the clashes that you are quite aware of, the ethnic groups, the state, and the tribe. These are all cracks that you have in the notion of national consciousness. And this deterioration, according to Fanon, is harmful to the developing nation. So, in a newly independent nation, so the whole essay is from the context of Africa. So, he is talking about African countries, and in a newly independent nation, according to Fanon, the national bourgeoisie take power after the exit of colonial power. But the bourgeoisie is underdeveloped and inexperienced. So, throughout the essay, you can see how he criticizes the national bourgeois. And who are these national bourgeois? They are the business elites and university graduates who make up the national, bourgeois, are which makes up a very small number in this newly independent country. And the main job of the national bourgeois is in an underdeveloped country is to reject their status as bourgeois. This is what they're supposed to do. They should be along with the peasant masses and work for the peasant masses, but they do not do that. They should leave all their background city life, and they should go to the masses, and they should in turn they should learn things from the masses, also teach the masses. They should learn from the masses what are the issues. They should teach the masses all the things that they got to learn in the foreign universities and Western, universities. So that is the heroic path, the heroic and positive path. But he says that that is quite absent in the national bourgeois in the newly independent country. So there is nothing heroic or positive in these national bourgeois, is what he says. And another problem about the national bourgeois is that they are, they are coming with the Western education to an underdeveloped country, and there is nothing that they can really do. Their knowledge is purely theoretical, and the economy that they are coming and trying to make changes, it is quite limited. So he says that there is no point in these people going to the Western universities and learning, because the knowledge that they got is only theoretical and they can't apply everything in this newly independent nation. And the national bourgeois, they, in the meantime, what do? They make profits, like, they just gain more and more financial profits, and their skills are limited, and they take over every position. So as the colonizers leave, they take over all the positions that they can accumulate, the money that they can accumulate. And at the psychological level, the national bourgeois identify more with the Western bourgeois rather than their own people. So this is another finding of Fanon, where he says that the national bourgeois associate themselves more with the Western bourgeois rather than their own people. So he says that such things are not going to help a nation in any way. And then finally, what are the things introduced by national bourgeois to create profit? There is exotism, there is hunting, there are casinos, and through tourism they start making money. So along with national bourgeois, Fanon also comments on the landowners. Okay, so there is a nationalization of the agricultural holdings that happen, but this doesn't mean that something good is happening to the whole nation. Only the people with lands, the landowners get the profit, and they take over the lands that are owned by the colonizers, and they keep it for themselves, the production and profit all to themselves. So ironically, the landowners, they want agriculture nationalized, meaning they want the nation to own and control it, and they keep the profit and they do nothing for the people. And soon after the independence, you can see how the national bourgeois, they get all the tertiary main jobs like the lawyers, doctors, landowners. All the main jobs are procured by the national bourgeois. So they move to Africanize the managerial classes and demand all the jobs that were once held by the Britishers, or I mean the colonizers. And the urban proletariat agrees with this nationalist viewpoint, but the proletariats at this time, during this time, they are along with the whole crowd trying to empower the nation, but the urban proletariats, they fight with other nations, and there are race riots that begin in between the indigenous tribe, and nothing of these issues are never sorted. There is ultra nationalism. So although we have the idea of nationalism, ultra nationalism grows, chauvinism and racism grows. What is ultra nationalism? It holds importance of one tribe or state over the other, which often brings racist arguments, which is also a form of neocolonialism. So in this way, only one tribe or ethnic group would be having power. And again, Fanon argues that the nation and national consciousness must reflect the entire nation and not just one ethnic group. Then he talks about Africanization and Arabization, and says that it is not a form of true nationalism. Only the national bourgeois are getting the job out of it. There is no use of such movements of making the whole, uh, uh, place Africanized, in the form that, in the mean that it means that the jobs being taken over by Africans alone. And then he says that how the peasant masses are exploited and they are right where they started. And Fanon says that there should be some sort of a single unifying force to keep the nation together. So finally, there are ethnic clashes. Then he also talks about the religious clashes, like in the context of Africa, religious clashes between Islam and Catholicism and colonialism. In this way, with all these ethnic and religious clashes, the colonialism is back on its feet. And also there are divisions like white and black region. So white region are actually the region which has got prominence of most of the European descendants. It would be a collaboration of the Europeans and the indigenous tribe. And black region are exclusively black community. So, white Africa is often considered as rich in culture and civilization, while Black Africa is considered to be wild, savage, and uncivilized. Okay, and religion plays a major way in colonialism, exerting its power around the globe. And he also talks about the Christian missionaries who go to these places, underdeveloped places, and try to make them civilized. And he continues to talk about the inadequacies of the national bourgeois. They achieve power through the biased nationalism and incite race wars. And he believes in equality, but they also believe that West. So he says that the national bourgeois, they have always got this, aspiration to be like the Westerners or the foreigners. And disregarding this needs to rise the Western standard. They always have this tendency to be like the Westerners. And they are also not great at domestic politics. They ignore the political masses. It would be mostly in these countries, you can see the single party political system where one person with the interest of national bourgeois would become a hero figure there, and he would be popular leader and he would be steadying the regime. So that becomes bourgeois dictatorship, according to Fanon. And so this new leader ignites belief in the people. So in this way, Fanon implies that true decolonization cannot be achieved in any form as long as the national bourgeois are in power. This is the first part of the essay.